series opens with a tense bank robbery in Oslo. The masked robber gets exactly what he came for, then walks calmly toward one of the female tellers. He leans in close, whispers something into her ear, and her face goes pale, every muscle in her expression collapsing into pure dread. Before she can even respond, he raises the gun to her temple and ends her life with a single bullet to the head. That same night, we meet our troubled detective, Harry Hole, drinking alone at his usual bar. Out of nowhere, his phone rings. The voice on the other end tells him they've located the getaway car from the bank robbery. Without a second thought, Harry rushes out, climbs behind the wheel with his closest friend Lars in the passenger seat, and races into the night to catch the killer. But Harry is heavily intoxicated. He misjudges a turn. The car flips violently, and Lars doesn't survive the crash. And just like that, Harry's world shatters. 5 years later, Harry still hasn't recovered from that night. Haunted, hollow, and consumed by guilt, he sits alone in his office, replaying the bank's surveillance footage for what must be the 1,000th time, desperate for any detail that could finally crack the case wide open. In the footage, the robber arrives with his face completely covered. He fires a warning shot into the air to freeze everyone in place, then deliberately picks one specific teller. He walks straight to her, presses the gun to her head, and hands her a note to read his demands aloud. The poor woman is shaking, her voice cracking with terror as she relays the order to the bank manager. Empty the vault, pack all the cash into a bag, and hand it over in less than 30 seconds. And here's where it gets chilling. The robber sets a timer on his phone, counting down every second with cold precision. Despite the panic suffocating the room, the manager pulls himself together, stuffs the cash into the bag, and tosses it over. But he's 6 seconds late. 6 seconds. Without a flicker of hesitation, the robber leans toward the teller, whispers something to her, and ends her life right there on the spot. He grabs the bag and vanishes. That whisper, that final exchange, Harry can't shake it. He freezes the frame on her face and studies her reaction, completely baffled. What could a man possibly say in his victim's final seconds to provoke a look like that on her face? Before Harry can even finish that thought, the door swings open and his superior, Police Chief Bjarne Waaler, steps inside with that familiar look of weary frustration. He tells Harry, half pleading, half warning, that this obsession of his isn't going to hurt anyone but himself. The case was closed 5 years ago. It's done. Time to let it go. But Harry doesn't even register the words. He brushes past Mahler and heads straight to his closest friend on the force, Officer Ellen Gelton, asking her to find him someone who can read facial micro-expressions. Ellen tells him there's actually a new specialist who just joined the team, and she might be exactly what he needs. Moments later, Mahler catches wind of this and his irritation deepens. He had specifically instructed Harry to greet the new specialist himself the moment she arrived, since they'd be working closely together. Harry, of course, finds the whole thing exhausting. His social skills are on life support, and his blunt honesty has a way of setting fires wherever he goes. Still, he drags himself to the lobby to do his duty. And there she is, a composed young woman with sharp, observant eyes. She introduces herself as Beate Lahn, mentions she's from Sweden, and that's about all the small talk Harry can stomach. He shakes her hand briskly and walks off without another word. Charming as ever, Harry. The three of them eventually settle into Harry's office to dissect the footage. Harry pulls out the detail that's been gnawing at him. The gun. It's a Cheska, an extraordinarily rare weapon in Oslo. So rare, in fact, that the city had barely heard of it before that bank robbery. But here's the kicker. Just a few days ago, the narcotics unit seized the exact same model from a small-time crook named Sverre Olsen. Officially, Sverre is a drug peddler. Unofficially, the police have just discovered he's been quietly running guns for years, and he's already attempted 2 bank robberies in his shady little career. Ellen tilts her head and asks the obvious question. Is that why Harry suspects Sverre is the man behind the 5-year-old murder? When Harry plays the video for them, Ellen isn't convinced. To her, the explanation seems simple. The robber probably whispered a death threat, told the teller he was going to kill her, and her face crumbled because of that. Case closed. But Harry isn't buying it, not even close. Something deeper, darker, far more personal happened in those final seconds, and he can feel it in his bones. He walks out of the office, leaving Ellen and Beate behind, and runs straight into Detective Tom Waaler, stepping out of the elevator. Harry can't resist a jab, asking him why he always takes the stairs when there's a perfectly good elevator right there. Waaler shoots him a sideways glare, cold and calculating, and walks past without saying a word. Yeah. These two definitely don't send each other Christmas cards. The tension between them is razor sharp, a quiet war simmering just beneath the surface, and you can feel it from the very first glance. Curious about what's gotten Harry so worked up, Waaler slips into the office to fish for details from his colleagues. Meanwhile, Harry heads straight to the city's underbelly, the spot where drug dealers gather like flies, hunting for any trace of Sverre. By chance, he spots a small-time dealer named Kevin parked nearby with his girlfriend in the passenger seat. Harry approaches the driver's window calmly and asks about Sverre. Kevin reads him in a heartbeat. Cop. He slams the gear into drive and tries to peel off, but Harry's grip is iron. He yanks the door, draws his weapon, and tells Kevin flat out, "Stop the car or I'll blow your head clean off." Terrified, Kevin freezes. But snitching on his crew? Not happening. He locks his lips and refuses to say a word. That is, until Harry pulls a stack of cash from his jacket. The girlfriend's resolve crumbles instantly. She blurts out that Sverre is hiding under the bridge at Ska Square. Harry tucks the money back into his pocket. A cop doesn't bribe criminals. Period. He races to the bridge, but Sverre is already a step ahead. Someone, an unknown voice on the phone, has tipped him off. Harry's coming for you. Disappear into the woods, lay low, finish moving the merchandise, and I'll get you fake travel documents to slip out of the country. Back at the precinct, Beata sits with Ellen, eager to learn more about the man she's about to be partnered with. Ellen paints the picture honestly. Harry is one of the sharpest detectives she's ever known, but his life outside the badge is a wreck. After Lars died on his watch, he spiraled into alcoholism, hit rock bottom, then clawed his way back to sobriety stronger than before. And just then, Waaler strolls over with a polite hello. Beate stiffens immediately, her whole body shifting into something cold and guarded. Ellen catches it instantly and asks the obvious. "You two know each other?" Beate keeps her answer short and clipped. He was her supervisor back at the police academy. That's all. But the silence after that answer says everything her words don't. After that, Harry stops by his therapist's office, the one he's been seeing for years. He confesses something that's been weighing on him. He started a new relationship, and he's terrified he'll destroy it with his own two hands. The therapist can't help but smile. He sees the quiet glow on Harry's face, the kind of softness only love brings. He reminds Harry that he's already conquered his addiction. The only thing standing between him and happiness now is his refusal to forgive himself for the past. Love yourself a little more, Harry. Make peace with the man you used to be. Harry leaves and heads straight to his girlfriend, Rakel Fauke, who lights up the moment he walks through the door. But her young son, Oleg, doesn't share the warmth. He won't even greet Harry. He just turns on his heel and walks out, leaving the two of them alone in awkward silence. Tough crowd. Meanwhile, Bea and Ellen comb through hours of surveillance footage from the cameras facing the bridge where Sverre runs his deals. They're hunting for any face that lingered too long, anyone who might know something. And then, the strangest detail surfaces. Only one person sat in that exact spot for a full 20 minutes. Tom Waaler. Bate spots him instantly, her trained eye cutting through the cap pulled low and the half-covered face like nothing was hiding him at all. Later that day, Ellen drags Harry to Waaler's house to confront him about the footage. Waaler answers the door wearing a smile that's far too calm, too polished. He scoffs at the accusation. They're seriously coming after him over a grainy image where you can't even see a man's features? And of course, Bade's behind all of this. He explains it away with a casual shrug. He and Beat were once engaged and the relationship ended badly. Sour feelings, nothing more. Harry pretends to buy it. He nods, plays along, but his eyes betray him. Not a single word of Waaler's story landed. Not a quarter of an inch. Back at home, Rakel sits down with Oleg, gently trying to convince him to give Harry a chance, to let him into their lives just a little. But Oleg holds his ground. Fine, just don't let him move in with us. Meanwhile, Harry is driving Ellen to her music practice. Halfway through the ride, he opens up about his therapy session. He tells her he's convinced his fear of intimacy goes back to the deepest wounds of his life. His mother died when he was a child. His first love attempted to take her own life right in front of him, and not long after, she was killed in a car accident. Ellen listens with the easy patience only a true friend can offer, then softens it for him. That's just how people are wired, Harry. They take the hits, they bleed, then they pick themselves up and carry on. Because that's the only way forward. The next morning, Sverre calls one of his usual contacts, a guy named Boris, and sends him the location of the cabin where he's hiding out in the woods. He asks Boris for 0.5 gram of dope, the usual fix. But the moment Boris hears that Sverre is broke and stuck in some forest cabin with no cash to pay, he hangs up cold. Friendship has its limits. Meanwhile, Rakel decides to spend the day out with Harry and Oleg. She takes them to the club, hoping a casual family outing might soften the boys' walls just a little. She quietly slips away, leaving the two of them alone, hoping the silence will force them to actually talk. Harry, never one to miss an opening, spots his moment. He knows Oleg has a crippling fear of heights and can't bring himself to dive off the 10-meter platform. The other kids tease him for it relentlessly. So Harry leans in and tells him a story of his own. I had a moment like that too, Oleg. When I was your age, my little sister got her hair caught in an elevator door, and I just stood there, frozen, terrified. I couldn't move. I couldn't help her. Curiosity gets the better of Oleg. What happened to her? Harry tells him she lost a few strands of hair, got a little hurt, and recovered just fine. But he never recovered. After that day, even stepping into an elevator triggered something deep and unshakable inside him. Then he makes Oleg an offer. Let's strike a deal. You face your fear and take that jump, and I'll face mine and ride the elevator one time. Just one. And to Harry's surprise, the boy lights up. He genuinely loves the idea. He agrees. And there it is, the first crack in the wall. Across town, Ellen catches a break. Word reaches her that Sverre has been in contact with a friend named Boris. Without wasting a second, she tracks Boris down and arrests him herself, squeezing the location out of him. The moment she has it, she calls Harry. She tells him she's heading out to the cabin to confirm Sverre is really there. Harry warns her sharply. Don't go in alone. If you spot him, call back up immediately. No heroics. Meanwhile, Sverre has reached the end of his patience. He calls the same mysterious voice that ordered him into hiding and lays it down flat. I want my money. Now. Or I walk into the nearest precinct and tell them everything. A dangerous threat. The kind that gets people silenced. Ellen pulls up to the cabin in the woods, and what she sees freezes her blood. Sverre is there all right. But so is Tom Waaler. He's walking straight into the cabin with a gun in his hand, and before she can fully process what's happening, he ends Sverre's life right in front of her eyes. Heart racing, she fumbles for her phone and dials Harry over and over, but Harry doesn't pick up. He's busy at the pool, cheering Oleg on as the boy stares down the 10-meter platform, gathering every ounce of courage he has to take the leap. The good news is, Oleg actually does it. He stares his fear in the face and leaps. The boy who couldn't even climb the ladder a week ago slices through the water with all the courage he never knew he had. The bad news is devastating. Back at the cabin, Waaler spots Ellen before she can slip away. He grabs her in a flash and drags her inside, ready to silence her too. Ellen begs for her life, swearing through tears that she'll never breathe a word, that she'll bury everything she saw. Just please, please let her live. But Waaler can't afford witnesses. The truth of his arms-dealing empire collapsing on top of him is not an option. So he does what cold, calculating men do. He ends her life without a flicker of hesitation, then carefully presses the gun into Sverre's lifeless hand to stage the scene. A perfect lie. Two men who killed each other in a desperate struggle. Just like that, Harry loses the closest friend he had left in this world. Later that day, Harry races to the cabin the moment he hears the news. He stands frozen over Ellen's body, staring at her face, unable to comprehend that she's gone. Gone because he wasn't there. Gone because he didn't pick up the phone. Waaler hovers nearby, putting on the performance of his life, voice trembling with fake grief. I'm so sorry, Harry. I got here too late. I couldn't save her. 2 weeks pass. Rachel stops by Harry's place to check on him, and what she finds shatters her. He's slipped backward. Hard. The bottle is back in his hand, and the man she fell in love with is drowning all over again. She can barely look at him. Voice trembling, she reminds him of the promise they made. If you ever go back to the bottle, that was the deal. But Harry is in no state to hear blame from anyone, especially not her. He fires back with cruelty he doesn't even mean. Yeah, that's what you do, isn't it? You run. Every time things get hard, you run. The words land like a slap. She turns and walks out, leaving him alone with his demons. Then his phone rings. It's Police Chief Bjarne Maaler. There's been a homicide. A young woman is dead, and they need Harry on the scene immediately. But sober up first. Harry? I mean it. Harry drags himself into a cold shower, scrubbing the alcohol off his skin like he's trying to scrub off the last 2 weeks of his life. When he arrives at the scene, he learns the victim's name is Camilla Lowen, and Waaler is already there. Harry locks his jaw and forces himself to ignore the man, channeling every ounce of focus into the case in front of him. The moment he sees Camilla, his stomach turns. She's been shot in the head, her body sprawled across the bathroom floor, half exposed, her dignity torn away in death, and one of her fingers has been cleanly severed from her hand. The horror of it all hits him like a wave, and he stumbles back out of the room. He pulls a small flask from his jacket, the one he keeps tucked away for moments exactly like this, and takes a long, steady swig. Then he walks back in like nothing happened. That's when he notices something chilling. The killer cut off her finger while she was still alive. The blood pooling across the tiles tells the entire story, and he deliberately left the water running, knowing it would seep through the floor, alerting the neighbors below, ensuring her body would be found fast. This wasn't just murder. This was a message. Harry then heads downstairs to interview Camilla's neighbors, the couple who reported the leak that led the police to her body, Vibeke Knudsen and her husband Anders. The moment Harry steps inside their apartment, he picks up on something off about them. The dynamic is tense, brittle. Anders keeps cutting his wife off mid-sentence, sharp and aggressive, clearly desperate to control the narrative. And every word out of his mouth carries the same dirty undertone. Camilla wasn't exactly living a clean life, you know. She was involved with several men. Maybe one of them got jealous, maybe one of them snapped. Charming guy. Real charming. Later that day, Harry walks into the office of Chief Superintendent Agnes Sjolid, the head of the Criminal Investigations Division, and lays his suspicion bare. He believes Tom Waaler is behind Ellen's death. What other reason could he possibly have for being at that cabin in the middle of the woods? He went there to silence Sverre. Sjolid keeps her composure. An accusation like this, against a decorated detective like Waaler, is the kind of thing that could blow the entire department apart. She tells Harry calmly that she'll give him room to investigate, but on one condition. Every shred of evidence he uncovers must come to her first, before anyone else. Then they'll decide what to do with it. Harry has no choice. He agrees. From that day forward, Harry pours every ounce of his focus into watching Waaler from the shadows. But something strange starts to take shape. Waaler is moving too cleanly, too perfectly, as if he knows he's being watched. And the more Harry digs, the more nothing surfaces. He can't find a single thread to pull. The frustration tightens around his chest like a noose, dragging him deeper into a quiet, brooding depression. The next morning, Harry wakes up to a call from Chief Maaler, reminding him gently that today is Ellen's funeral. He can't miss it. Not today. He pulls himself together, dresses in silence, and heads out to bury the closest friend he ever had. Across town, Raquel notices her son asking about Harry. The same boy who once couldn't stand him is now wondering where he's been. She's stunned. Where did this sudden affection come from, after the way you treated him? But she doesn't push. She softens it for him with a lie. He's just busy with work, sweetheart. That's all. But Oleg can feel it in his bones. Something is wrong, so he quietly slips a copy of the house keys into his pocket and heads to the precinct to find Harry himself. Bad luck has its own cruel timing. The first person he runs into isn't Harry, it's Waaler, and Waaler knows exactly who this boy is. The son of Harry's girlfriend. A perfect little weapon dropped right into his lap. He smiles down at Oleg with that polished, dangerous charm of his and offers warmly, "Come on, kid, I'll take you to him." "Oh, Oleg, run fast." Waaler walks Oleg straight to the very bar where Harry has been drinking himself into oblivion. And there he is, slumped at the counter in the middle of the day, eyes glazed, jacket wrinkled, a man falling apart in slow motion. The sight crushes Oleg. He doesn't say a word, doesn't even step forward. He just turns and walks out, his small heart aching with disappointment, too heavy for a boy his age to carry. Mission accomplished, Waaler. You manipulative bastard. When Harry finally drags himself home, Chief Maaler is already waiting at his door with bad news. "I tried, Harry. I tried to cover for you, but I can't anymore." He's already drafted Harry's resignation letter. All that's left is for him to sign it. But Harry is too far gone to feel anything. He doesn't argue, doesn't flinch. He just nods quietly. Yeah, okay, whatever. That same evening, his phone rings. It's Beat. She's calling with a breakthrough. They found the gun used to kill Camilla, dumped in the trash near her building. And once again, it's a Cheska. Same rare model, same fingerprint of the killer. But that's not all. During the autopsy, they discovered something deeply unsettling. Camilla's left eyelid was swollen shut, and tucked beneath it was a small red gemstone cut into the shape of a star. Every nerve in Harry's body lights up. The detective in him screams to dig deeper, but he holds himself back, voice flat as he tells Beate the truth. The case has been transferred to Waaler. Coordinate with him from now on. The moment he hangs up, his curiosity becomes too loud to silence. He remembers Kevin, the small-time dealer he cornered for information about Sverre. He digs up his address and shows up at Kevin's door first thing in the morning. Relax. I'm not here for trouble. I just need one piece of information. He pulls out a photo of the man they suspect is Waaler and presses Kevin hard. Who is this? Tell me what you know, or I'll bury you under 3 or 4 charges that'll keep you locked up for years. Kevin folds. He admits the man is a cop, but as for his name, his rank, what he's doing in their world, he swears he has no idea. The guy is a ghost. Harry takes everything Kevin gives him and brings it straight to Sjolid. He's hoping she'll open an official investigation, treat Kevin's testimony as the foundation of their case against Waaler. But the very next day, something curious happens. Kevin suddenly grows a backbone. He looks Harry dead in the eye and says, "I'm not testifying against anyone. Do whatever you want. Someone got to him." Sjolid turns on Harry with sharp, pointed accusation. She tells him she believes he pressured Kevin into lying, fabricating a story just to frame his own colleague. She warns him with chilling finality. Stay away from this case. Don't bring it up again. Not to me. Not to anyone. And just like that, every door slams shut. Harry walks home a broken man. The case is about to be sealed shut with the official lie that Sverre killed Ellen, and there's nothing he can do about it. The truth is going to be buried alive, and he's going to have to watch it happen. Meanwhile, that same night, the killer who took Camilla's life sits before a camera, dressed head to toe in black, every inch of his face hidden. He records a chilling message for the police. Open your eyes. Open them wide. The red star will lead you to the truth. Back home, Harry tries to pull himself together. He empties every bottle of liquor he owns and pours them down the drain, one by one. There's no surrender allowed. Not anymore. He's going to uncover the truth himself, even if it costs him everything he has left. The next morning at the precinct, he discovers something that turns his blood cold. The killer didn't just leave a red star behind. He carved one into the wooden frame of Camilla's bed. And in that moment, Harry knows. This isn't over. He's going to do it again. The killer took a finger as a trophy and left the star as a breadcrumb, daring them to follow. Nobody goes through that much trouble for a single murder. This is just the beginning. Across the city, Waaler gets a call from his mysterious boss, the one pulling all the strings from above. Now that Sverre is dead, you're taking over the distribution network. And there's another piece of business to handle. The gang war tearing through Oslo lately is becoming a problem. The simplest solution? Light a match between the two biggest crews in the city, the Derbs and the Korbs, and watch them tear each other apart. Once the bodies start dropping, the police will finally understand the value of the firearms Waaler has been smuggling into the country. To set it all in motion, Waaler meets with the boss of the Derbs and hands him a duffel bag stuffed with Cheska pistols. Then, just as he's leaving, he drops the lit match. By the way, the leader of the Korbs ordered the same shipment. She's picking it up tomorrow morning. I figure you've got just enough time to take her out before she takes you out first. Cold, calculated, devastating. The next day, the news of Camilla's case leaks to the press. Waaler pounces on the opportunity. He drops a quiet poisonous suggestion into Chief Mahler's ear. Who else could have leaked it but your drunk detective? Mahler is furious. He storms straight to Harry. You've already been fired. What are you still doing here? Harry plays it calm. If I'm not getting paid for the rest of the month, then at least let me finish out the month working. Mahler exhales. He agrees, but on one ironclad condition. Stay away from Camilla's case. Completely. Or I'll throw you out myself. Just then, a new report comes in. A man's wife has been missing for 2 hours. And of course, there's no one more perfect for a quiet little case like this than Harry. Get him out of the way. Let him chase shadows. Harry arrives at the address and is greeted by the husband, a theater director named Willie Barley. The man looks rattled, eyes darting, hands restless. He explains that his wife stepped out to grab a few things from the shop next door 2 hours ago, and she hasn't been seen since. Her phone has been off the entire time. Bade arrives shortly after, accompanied by a uniformed officer and a tracking dog trained to follow Lisbeth's scent and pinpoint her last known location. Willie puts on a convincing show of distress, but something nags at Harry. The cardinal rule of any missing wife case, the husband is always suspect number one until proven otherwise. The dog leads them straight to a single shoe, one of Lisbeth's, dumped beneath a parked car on the street. And in that moment, Beate watches Harry's face shift. He's already moved past Willie as a suspect. His mind is connecting the dots between Lisbeth's disappearance and Camilla's murder. Every instinct he has is screaming the same chilling possibility. She's the second victim. As night falls over Oslo, the Derbs storm the Korbs' headquarters and a brutal massacre erupts between them. Waaler watches the chaos unfold from a distance, calm and detached, like a man enjoying a film he scripted himself. Once he confirms the job is done, he calls his mysterious boss to deliver the update. Then he picks up the phone again. This time, his voice is disguised. He's calling a journalist named Maya Eck. The two gangs have wiped each other out tonight, he tells her. Maybe now the police will finally understand they need to be armed at all times to protect themselves, to protect this city. Maya listens carefully. The story is gold, but the man on the other end is a ghost. That's a hell of a tip. But who exactly are you? I can't run a story in my paper based on an anonymous call from someone who won't even identify himself. Waaler doesn't give her another inch. He hangs up and leaves her sitting with her instincts buzzing. Then he heads straight to Harry. He walks in with that smug, polished calm of his and lays his cards on the table. Look, I get it. We can't stand each other. But this time, I'm coming to you with something useful. Now that you've been fired, I'm offering you a job. Think it over. Get back to me when you've decided. And here, the truth behind their bitter feud finally surfaces. The hatred between Harry and Waaler goes all the way back to that night 5 years ago, the night Lars died. Lars wasn't just a friend. He was the closest person Waaler had in this world, and ever since the crash, Waaler has held one truth above all others. Harry was drunk behind the wheel. Harry killed him. The next morning, Harry wakes up to the worst phone call of his life. He's officially fired, permanently. The department has decided he's the one leaking information about the ongoing cases to the press. And because the second victim, the one whose husband reported her disappearance, is a well-known stage actress, the entire city is in an uproar over her vanishing. Harry has to surrender his service weapon and walk away for good. End of the line. But just a few hours later, his phone rings. It's the chief calling. Harry pretends not to notice and slips the phone into his pocket. He's done. He's out. He doesn't want to hear another word. What he doesn't yet know is that an envelope has just arrived at the precinct. Inside it, a single severed finger, Lisbeth Barley's finger, and on it, a ring. And in the heart of the ring, the same red star. Meanwhile, far from Oslo, in the city of Prague, a man stands on a balcony, waiting for his wife to come home. The moment she walks through the door, he picks up his suitcase and prepares to leave again. But she's tired of the routine. The mystery of it all has worn her down. Why? Every single time you travel, you refuse to tell me where you're going or why. What are you hiding from me? He gives her the same rehearsed answer he always gives. I do this to protect what we have. Then he grabs his bag and walks out the door. And as the camera lingers on her, we see it. A delicate chain hanging around her neck, and dangling from it, the exact same red star. And just like that, the puzzle widens. Later that day, Waaler pays Harry a visit at the police station. Harry got into a fight and ended up locked in a holding cell, of all places. Waaler shows him the photo of Lisbeth's severed finger so he understands why the department has been blowing up his phone all day. Then, with the two of them completely alone, Waaler decides it's time to come clean. I'm going to tell you everything, Harry. The whole truth. He takes a breath. I killed Sverre. When I got to that cabin, I found him standing over Ellen's body. He'd already killed her. And I lost it because I knew what would happen if he went to trial. He'd get a few years, walk out, and live the rest of his life like nothing ever happened. So I ended him. And after that, I staged the scene to make it look like the two of them killed each other, because that's exactly what they deserved. And here, the truth lands like a punch to the chest. The job Waaler is offering Harry is no job at all. It's a death squad. Harry pieces it together faster than Waaler expected. We're just ordinary people doing our duty to society. We finish what the police can't. We end the lives of those who've gone too far astray. And we have powerful people backing us, people who pay us handsomely for the good we do. Waaler hits him exactly where it hurts most. You're almost 40, Harry. Everyone in your life has walked away from you. Don't you think it's time to find a new path? But he refuses to give Harry a single detail more because he's not yet sure whether Harry is truly going to join them or not. The first favor Waaler grants him, as a peace offering, is reinstating him at the precinct, temporarily, just until the case is solved. The next day, Harry pays a visit to Willie Barley at the theater, where he works as a stage director, to break the news about the envelope and the severed finger. The blow lands with brutal weight. Willie collapses into sobs right there in front of him, his entire body shaking with grief. On his way back to the precinct, Harry spots something that stops him cold. Oleg is sitting alone at the bar. He stares for a moment, stunned, then walks inside. "What are you doing here, kid?" Oleg explains that he went looking for Harry at the station, and when he didn't find him, he figured this was where he'd be. "When are you coming home, Harry?" He pleads with him quietly, the kind of plea only a child can deliver. "Even if Mom doesn't want you there, please. At least try to make it right with her again." Harry hesitates. He's torn down to his core, but he makes up an excuse and offers to drive Oleg home instead. The moment Reckle opens the door, Harry tries to bridge the gap. Could it be the nature of my job that's the real problem between us? But Rackle doesn't soften. She fires back, sharp and unflinching. "Honestly, Harry, the problem is you." The words cut deep. Harry walks out without another word, leaving them both behind. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, inside the office of a man named Mr. Holly, a receptionist named Barbara stands at the bathroom sink filling a glass of water. She freezes for a second when a man steps inside by accident, since this is supposed to be the women's restroom. Except, it isn't an accident at all. He pulls out a gun and ends her life right there on the cold tile floor. And throughout it all, his face never appears on camera once. The moment Harry arrives at the crime scene, he overhears Waaler on the phone speaking in low, deliberate tones. "I've delivered 22 pistols to the Derbs." He keeps talking, listing details to whoever is on the other end. And the two gangs have wiped each other out, but their second in command is still alive, locked up in the hospital right now. Harry waits patiently for him to finish the call, then walks in casually, careful not to let Waaler suspect a thing. That's when Harry notices the chilling detail. After ending Barbara's life, the killer arranged her body in a deliberate pose, hands clasped, face tilted, a haunting image of a woman frozen forever in the act of begging. And of course, the case carries the same dark signature. The red star is hidden inside her throat this time, and one of her fingers is gone. Same killer, same ritual, different stage. Later that night, Waaler dresses head to toe in a black suit, a mask covering every inch of his face, and heads to a meeting with the secret society. Every member in the room is masked the exact same way, faces hidden from one another, ensuring no one can identify anyone else. Loyalty enforced through anonymity. No threats from within. No leaks. Just shadows speaking to shadows. Because Waaler wants the surviving Derb's lieutenant in the hospital silenced, he heads to the leader of the rival gang and plants a poisonous seed. Word on the street is they're coming for you next. So why not strike first? Take her out and walk away the winner. She buys it without a second thought. No questions asked. The next morning, the police psychologist gathers the entire investigative team for a briefing. He walks them through what he believes about the killer. This man is deeply disturbed. Every move he makes points to a ritualistic pattern, a sick ceremony he's performing with each murder. He explains that men like this often appear pristine on the outside, successful, well-spoken, well-dressed, charming even. The polished surface is the mask they wear to hide the rot festering underneath. The words land hard on Waaler. Too hard. He starts shifting in his seat, jaw tightening, eyes flickering. He cuts the meeting short, brushing it off with a forced excuse. We have more important things to deal with than psychiatric theory. Hit a nerve there, Tom. Afterward, Harry interrogates the office employee who was present at the time of Barbara's death. The man tells him there was no stranger in the building, just a delivery courier who came in, dropped something off, and left 10 minutes later. And here, Harry catches the thread. Why would a delivery courier hang around for 10 full minutes just to drop off an order? It doesn't add up. He immediately orders the rest of the team to start tracking down every courier who was operating in the area during that window. Later that day, while reviewing the photos from Camilla's apartment, Harry notices something he missed before. A cassette tape sitting beside her bed. His instincts light up. The killer must have left it there. He drives over himself to retrieve it and see what's on it. By chance, he runs into Anders, Camilla's downstairs neighbor, and asks him if he knows the meaning behind the star symbol carved into her bed. Anders explains it carefully. It's an old pagan symbol. People used to carve stars like that above their beds to drive away nightmares and evil spirits. But its original meaning, its true meaning, is death. The moment Harry plays the tape, his suspicions are confirmed. The killer left it for them. The voice on the recording is twisted with riddles, layered in cryptic clues that make no sense at all. And of course, the voice is digitally distorted, ensuring no one will ever recognize who's speaking. Stuck and out of options, Harry calls his old friend Peter, a retired codebreaker who used to work for the Force years ago. He explains the situation, hoping Peter can help him crack the puzzle, but Peter shakes his head. I worked with mathematical codes, Harry. The kind of layered, symbolic riddles you're dealing with, those were never my specialty. Still, he offers him something else. I have a pill that might help you. It works with your subconscious, helps your mind connect the dots on a deeper level. But whatever you do, do not take more than 2. Meanwhile, Waaler storms into Bayade's lab, fed up with how often she runs information to Harry before bringing it to him. He's supposed to be the lead on this case, and the constant pattern of being kept out of the loop is driving him to the edge. The simmering tension between him and Beate is getting impossible to ignore. He presses her hard. Is there anything else you've been hiding from me? She finally tells him. They found a blood sample under one of Lisbeth's fingernails. And the strange part? The blood type is a match for her husband, Willie. Harry goes to sit with Willie himself, Shusaf, hoping to pull the truth out of him. But true to form, Willie crumbles into sobs. I don't know how that's possible. Maybe it's just a coincidence. It has to be a coincidence. The moment Harry gets home, he decides to try the pill. But of course, being Harry, he does what he always does. He follows his own rules. He swallows 3 of them instead of 2. Within the hour, he plunges into a hallucination unlike anything he's ever experienced. The events of the past few weeks unfold before his eyes in vivid, fragmented detail, scenes replaying themselves with crushing clarity until his body finally surrenders and he collapses into unconsciousness. The next morning, when Harry wakes up, he discovers that he's carved a 5-pointed star into the wall and scrawled the number 5 across his bed. His subconscious has cracked it. He races to the precinct, all the pieces locking into place at last. He grabs a map of Oslo, marks every location where a murder has taken place, and draws a 5-pointed star connecting them. And here, the chilling pattern reveals itself. Because the star has 5 points, the killer is going to take 5 lives. With each victim, he severs a finger as a sick way of counting them down. The murders are spaced exactly 3 weeks apart, which means there are only 2 weeks left until the next one. But the pattern goes even deeper. The killer chooses his victims based on the geometric points of the star drawn across the map. The building must contain the number 5 somewhere in its address, and the victim must live on the 5th floor. He's moving in strict, methodical order around the points of the pentagram, which means tomorrow's victim will be in the student housing district of Kampen University. To secure the area, the team fans out and goes door to door, knocking on every apartment containing the number 5, warning residents to stay alert. By chance, they find an elderly woman living alone, her son away working in another city. Bede offers to stay with her for the day, just until things settle down. Meanwhile, in Prague, we return to the same mysterious man who keeps disappearing on his wife without explanation. We finally learn his name, Martin Aminov. But this time, his wife Petra has news of her own. She's pregnant. The blood drains from his face. If things have come this far, he tells her quietly, then you need to know why I disappear every week. He opens his suitcase, and there it is, a Cheska pistol, the exact same model used to end the lives of every single victim in this case. Combined with the red star pendant hanging around Petra's neck, every shred of evidence points to one chilling conclusion. He's the killer. The next morning, the entire team gathers inside a surveillance van, monitoring every camera covering the student housing complex. Beate, meanwhile, is sitting with the elderly woman, keeping her calm and company. In the middle of their conversation, the woman opens up about her son Martin. She tells Beat that he didn't grow up with her. She had him when she was only 15, and the pregnancy became a devastating scandal for her family. As the years passed and he grew older, they slowly mended the rift, and their relationship now is gentler, warmer than it once was. She tells Bade that he imports goods from Eastern Europe and sells them, and by sheer coincidence, he called her this morning. He's coming into the city today and plans to stop by. He visits about every 5 days. And once, he gave me this beautiful little piece of jewelry with a precious stone in it. The moment Bate lays eyes on the red gemstone, every alarm in her body screams. The pieces lock into place with horrifying clarity. He's the killer. Without wasting a second, she calls Harry and tells him everything. But the moment Waaler hears Martin's name, something in him snaps. His composure shatters. He loses all control of himself. He orders Harry to stay exactly where he is, that he'll go to the house alone and assess the situation himself. Harry is bewildered. We've identified the killer. We should be storming in with full backup, not sending you in alone. But Waaler insists, voice tight with something sharp and unspoken. Harry lets him go. Why the panic, Tom? What are you so desperate to control? When Waaler arrives at the house, he immediately scolds Beate for standing too close to the window. He orders her into the kitchen and tells her not to move from that spot, no matter what. Meanwhile, back at the student housing, Harry notices something he missed before. One of the dorm room doors has a star drawn just above the frame. He calls in backup and storms the room. But to his shock, the room is completely empty. Just as he's about to leave, his eyes catch something on the floor. A severed, mummified hand, swarming with flies, missing one finger. And lying right beside it, a key to the storage unit downstairs. His stomach drops. The body is in the storage room. He races down and finds her. The victim is wrapped in an airtight plastic bag, sealed tight to mask the smell of decomposition. And here, the chilling truth lands. This isn't the killer's next victim. This is his very first. The original murder. The starting point of everything. He's already taken 4 lives. There's only one left. Waaler stands just outside the house, waiting for Martin to arrive. The moment Martin walks through the door, Waaler raises his weapon and barks at him with chilling authority. Drop the gun in your hand, or I'll end you right here. Martin freezes, completely thrown. What gun? I'm not holding anything. But that's the entire point. Waaler is staging a textbook execution, planning to claim self-defense the moment Martin's body hits the floor. What he didn't account for, though, is Bate. She steps out from the kitchen at the worst possible moment, her sharp eyes scanning the scene in an instant. What are you doing? You're the one holding both guns. Waaler doesn't miss a beat. He laughs it off smoothly. I just took it from him. Cuff him. Let's get him to the precinct. And just like that, the case appears to be closed. They've caught the killer. The press conference goes live, the announcement is made, and the city breathes a collective sigh of relief. Meanwhile, Harry takes Raquel out for a special evening. He brings her to Willie's stage play, partly to support him through everything he's been through, and partly to mend the broken pieces between him and Raquel, to bring her back to him. Later that evening, we find Harry walking into the prison to visit Martin, and it becomes immediately clear. For Harry, this case is far from closed. He hands Martin a glass of water and explains carefully. When I told Waaler the killer's name was Martin, his entire face changed. He went into a panic I've never seen before, which means you must be one of the smugglers working with him. That's why he wants you dead. Then, with deadly calm, Harry drops the bomb. That glass of water you just drank? It contained a poison pill. You have about 10 minutes before your body starts bleeding out from the inside until you die. I have the antidote in my pocket, but I'm not giving it to you until you swear to help me bring Waaler down. Until I expose him and put him behind bars. Terrified beyond words, Martin starts begging him for the pill. The moment Martin gives his word, Harry calmly reassures him. There's no antidote. There was no poison either. I was just scaring you. He cuffs Martin and walks him out of the prison under the pretense of transferring him to a safer floor upstairs. But the moment Waaler gets word of what's happened, he sends a hitman to take Harry out. Of course, Harry has already calculated every move. He moves Martin to a completely separate apartment, one no one knows the location of. Martin tells Harry plainly, I had nothing to do with the murders. None of them. If you want me to help you bring Waaler down, then you have to help me walk away clean. And then he begins to tell his story from the very beginning. We flash back to 1999, the year Martin first moved to Prague. There, he met a man whose specialty was smuggling rare red diamonds shaped like five-pointed stars. Martin was fascinated by the trade. He started learning the craft, working alongside him until he was ready to operate on his own. Step by step, his ambitions grew. He moved up from jewelry into firearms, smuggling weapons across borders. But that wasn't his only hustle. Martin had a darker game on the side. He used his charm to seduce wealthy women, made them fall in love with him, and bled their bank accounts dry. 2 years ago, he walked away from all of it. He decided to limit himself to smuggling gemstones, the safest of all his trades. The reason? He had finally fallen in love. He met Petra, the woman who would become his wife. But after a while, the pull of bigger money lured him back. He returned to smuggling Cheska pistols, this time after meeting a man known only as the Prince. The Prince was paying numbers Martin had never seen before. And of course, the Prince is none other than Tom Waaler. The only piece of leverage Martin has against him is a small collection of photographs from back when they were still negotiating their first deals. Then, this past spring, Martin landed a new Norwegian client, someone different. This one wanted both the gemstone and the pistol bundled together. Martin explains, I started flying out to him almost every week. The arrangement was that I'd leave the package containing the merchandise in a public location, just as we agreed. He had no reason to worry about getting caught. Nobody in Oslo knew me. Nobody, except for one woman I met by chance. I spent a single night with her, in the middle of her honeymoon. And here, the puzzle clicks together. The pistol and the gemstone in his suitcase weren't for him at all. They were a delivery, meant for the client. Who the client really is, no one has uncovered yet. The next morning, Waaler reaches the breaking point. The terror eating at him from every direction is becoming unbearable. He proposes something dangerous to his superiors. If Harry doesn't surface today, give me the entire day to deal with him myself. Because if this leaks to the press, it will destroy us. How does it look when a celebrated detective helps a serial killer responsible for 4 murders escape? They agree. They give him the green light. The moment Waaler has the approval, he orders his colleagues to start tracking Harry's location through his phone. But Harry has been one step ahead the entire time. He's been carrying his old friend Peter's phone, using it to stay in touch with Beate without anyone in Waaler's circle noticing. He turns to Martin and asks him to hand over the photographs. There's no time left to waste. Martin reaches out to Petra and asks her to send the pictures over from his device. Meanwhile, every door in front of Waaler is slamming shut. Out of options, he reaches for the last weapon left in his arsenal, the cruelest one, Raquel and her son. It's the only way to force Harry into surrendering quietly without a fight. Harry, on the other hand, has finally pieced together who the killer truly is. He drives to Willie's house. But strangely, he doesn't approach the front door. Instead, he risks his life climbing across rooftops, leaping between buildings, and slipping in through the balcony. The moment Willie wakes up to find Harry standing right in his face, the shock floods his expression. How did you get in here? What are you doing? Harry doesn't waste a breath. Don't play coy with me. I'm here to arrest you. He accuses Willie directly. He's the killer Harry has been hunting since the very first murder. Why else would your blood be under your wife's fingernails unless you were the one who ended her life? And here, something chilling happens. Willie's face transforms in real time. The tremor of fear melts away. The trembling stops. In its place, a quiet, eerie calm settles over his features, a darkness Harry has never seen before. Well, since you've figured everything out, let me tell you the whole story from the beginning. He admits it openly. I knew that when you came to search the house, you'd bring a tracking dog, so I kept one of her fingers hidden on me. Harry presses harder. You did all of this because your wife cheated on you with Martin, didn't you? At the same time he was working out of Prague, you were there with her on your honeymoon. And when you finally discovered the truth, you orchestrated this entire massacre to take your revenge. Willie fills in the rest of the picture for him. If it had only been an affair, something fleeting that died on its own, he could have lived with it. But one day, by complete accident, he stumbled across 2 letters. One was from Martin, written in tender, aching detail, pouring his heart out about how much he loved her, about how he understood she was suffering, trapped in a marriage to a man she didn't love, forced to stay for the sake of her career. The second letter, the one that broke him entirely, was from Lisbeth herself. She had written it to Martin, but it had been returned because the address on the envelope was wrong. The affair started 4 years ago, Willie says, voice flat and hollow. But the last letter she wrote to him was just a few months ago, which means she stayed with me all this time while her heart belonged to another man entirely. And there it is, the wound that birthed a monster. And here, Harry catches the rest. The whole twisted picture comes into focus. Willie decided to take the play he stages for a living and turn it into reality. He ended Lisbeth's life, but to make sure no one would ever suspect him, he didn't stop at 1. He took 3 more lives alongside hers, leaving only Martin standing at the end. Then he planted the red gemstones at every crime scene to frame him for everything. 2 birds, 1 devastating stone. His wife's lover would be destroyed, and his own life would be cleared in the process. Now that the truth is out in the open, Harry asks the question burning in his chest. Where is your wife's body, Willie? Where did you put her? Willie snaps. He whips out a gun and orders Harry sharply. Get off the bed, now. Harry rises slowly, and Willie yanks the sheets aside. And here, the breath leaves Harry's lungs. Lisbeth is sealed inside a thick plastic bag, submerged in some kind of preservation fluid. Willie has been mummifying her body, planning to keep her with him forever, a grotesque little shrine to the woman he could never possess. Before Harry can fully process the horror in front of him, Willie vanishes like a ghost. Harry races through the apartment, hunts him down, and bursts into the bathroom. And there, the second blow lands. Inside the bathroom is the 5th and final victim. Willie has just ended her life, her body bound by the neck. Then Harry hears the neighbors below screaming hysterically. Willie has thrown himself off the balcony. Harry moves fast, slipping out of the apartment before the police can arrive. The moment he checks his phone, his blood freezes. Rackle has been flooding him with messages. Oleg has vanished from the house. Harry knows instantly. Waaler. He calls him directly and gives him the address where he's hiding with Martin. The moment Waaler arrives with Oleg in tow, he finds Harry and Martin sitting calmly on the floor, their hands cuffed together with a single set of handcuffs. The sight enrages him. He didn't come here to play games. He came to end them and walk away clean. But there are surveillance cameras in the building. So Waaler shoves them toward the elevator, planning to handle the killing somewhere out of sight. And here, Harry makes his move. He pulls a sharp blade from his pocket and drives it into Waaler's shoulder. He grabs Oleg, drags Martin with him into the elevator, and slams the door shut. Waaler thinks fast. He smashes the glass panel in the elevator door, ready to fire shots through the opening. But Harry is faster. He starts the elevator moving, then jams his arm through the gap, blocking Waaler's reach. The mechanism crushes against his arm with brutal force, the pressure tearing through flesh and bone until his hand is severed clean off. By the time Harry stumbles out of the elevator to finish him off, Waaler is already gone. He's bled out where he stood. The first thing Harry does is take Oleg straight home. The moment Raquel sees how tightly her son clings to Harry, how deeply this damaged man has rooted himself in her boy's heart, her walls finally crumble. I'll wait for you, Harry. Take all the time you need to deal with everything you're carrying. Then come back to us. For the first time in what feels like a lifetime, Harry feels something close to peace settle into his chest. He says his goodbyes and walks out into the night. Then he calls Maya, the journalist, and hands her every piece of evidence he's gathered. Every name, every dirty deal, every red star. He gives her everything she needs to publish the truth and lay it bare for the entire country to see. Meanwhile, Chief Superintendent Agnes Sholid sits Harry down for a private meeting. She apologizes to him sincerely, admitting she should have believed him from the very beginning. Then she asks him to come back to the force. We need to dig into this secret society Waaler was a part of. We need someone like you on the inside. Harry stares at her for a long moment, conflicted. He doesn't give her an answer. As for the bank robbery from 5 years ago, the case that has haunted him for so long, Harry finally pieces it together. The robber was the teller's own husband. He orchestrated the entire spectacle to end her life without ever being caught. That's why her face shifted the moment she heard his voice in those final seconds. She recognized him. Harry tracks him down and arrests him. After all the chaos, after all the blood and betrayal, Harry pulls out his phone and dials Ellen, just as he always used to do. But the line is dead. Her phone is off, and it always will be. And here, the weight of it finally lands. The moment he's been running from for months. He has to accept it. She's gone. She's truly gone. Goodbye, Ellen. And then, in the final moments of the season, the camera takes us somewhere unexpected. We find the leader of the secret society sitting across from another masked figure. Her voice low and measured. We need to disappear for a while. Lay low until everything settles down. She slowly removes her mask, and the breath leaves our lungs. It's Agnes Jolid, Chief Superintendent of the Criminal Investigations Division. The very woman who just asked Harry to help her dismantle the secret society from the inside was leading it all along. And just like that, the war begins.